All right, here's a video I've been asked about more than a few times. I'm finally getting around to actually putting this one out there. This is my dust collection system for my chop saw, radial arm saw. I use this tool a lot. So I'm going to show you a little before and after. And I will note that this is not a how-to video. This is not a safety video. This is just how I've got my little garage workshop set up to try to keep the dust under control. I've got some auxiliary dust collection in here as well in the form of a little, I think it was a Win, one of these Win air purifier systems, which seems to work pretty well. But this little Cyclone, I think I bought this thing on Amazon or eBay. I don't know, it's been at least 6 or 7 years ago for $12 or $13. And it's kind of beaten up down there. But for $12 or $13, this thing outperforms any of the other dust cyclones that I've tested. I've used the Dust Stopper brand, and I've used a couple of the others, but I keep coming back to these, and I've got quite a few of them for different tools and different setups. I've even got these things running 4-inch, 4-inch, and 6-inch tube. Just have several of these on the vacuum system with several smaller tubes breaking off and going into them so they can run a larger size pipe. But anyway, I do like those. Definitely just buy that direct from China. You do have to make your own little adapters for where the hose connections are, because they don't fit any of the standard size hoses. But I've noticed the same problem with most of the Cyclones out there on the market that are for 2-inch or 2.5 inches, that they don't actually fit the hose. At least I haven't yet found one that does. But anyway, here we go. Here's a little before. And for me, I have always used these saws in the pulling direction. So you turn it on, put it down, pull it towards you to complete your cut. It's not a safe way to do this, because these things, if they catch in the wood, they can real quickly jerk out towards you. And if your arm is out there, you know, there's always that chance you can get caught by this blade. And these things are not going to be very forgiving if they catch you. Anyway, here we go. So here is what this saw does in the pull configuration with no dust collector. I will say nothing wrong with the saw. It doesn't perform any worse than any other saw. Some of that made it into the bucket. But as far as power, the DeWalt version of this has quite a bit more power. This one just has a wider range of degrees that you can cut. So this one, I think, I don't know what exactly it gave us, but I know it gave us a lot wider range of how far you can tilt the blade over. And it's a little easier to use than the DeWalt. I still keep the DeWalt for jobs where I need to cut through real thick pieces of walnut. Seems to give a lot cleaner cut. This one gives a little bit of chatter. But altogether, this is still the one that I prefer to use. I do have the DeWalt, but I don't use it much. Okay, and then here we are. The way these things are intended typically is you start the cut out here, and then move back through your board as you're cutting. It's a lot less likely it's going to kick out to you. Not a safety video. This is just how I do, and this is not how I do, but this is how these things are typically intended. Here we go. Push cut. I will note, I'm sure you saw a lot of dust there. I usually don't have to wear my my dust mask in my shop because there's none of this. I don't know if you can see any of this fine particulate floating around in the air. There's a whole lot of it though, like a thick fog from where I am. And you can see all the dust sitting back there on the saw from those two cuts. This thing comes with a little rubber deflector shield that goes here on the bottom, so that when you are doing those traditional push cuts, it'll catch a little bit more of the dust and kind of deflect it up into this bag. And the bag works okay, but still, you can see all that dust that tries to go up there and then instead goes all over the place. Part of that's because it's missing that little deflector. Part of that's just because these saws were probably never intended to catch a lot of dust. Let me get those out of the way and show you kind of what I've come up with. That for me at least works really well. Make sure I've got that in the frame. This is just the bottom of a 5-gallon bucket. I've already cut the relief here for the video and got this thing fitted pretty well to the back of the tool here. It only took me about 20 minutes to put this together. There's a screw sitting there. But I just took a 5-gallon bucket, cut it in half, and got it about as small as I could get it without it interfering with this little piece of the saw back there. Get her fitted in here and screwed on. Unfortunately, I'm talking through this mask because this room is now full of sawdust. A little bit of a snug fit getting her in there. Getting it lined up right where it needs to be. That's it right there. I put that little board on the inside to have something to screw to. There we go. Pretty good. That feels pretty good. And I just used a 2 1/4 inch bit, a little Linux bit, to cut the back of this out. It's a pretty good fit. I can get my fingernail underneath it, but only just barely. Okay, get our hose hooked up. And I've just got on this particular one, I've got my shop vac, I believe it's a 6.5 horsepower vacuum on there. Get some of the dust out of the way. Okay, this is actually the first time I've used this. You'll be seeing it with me. I've not done a test run to see how this works. I already have a pretty good idea though, from the last one that I had. This is my second iteration. Let's fire her up. I'm not even gonna do the push cut. Well, I guess I will. I'll do a pull cut and a push cut. Remember, not a safety video. Do not use these tools in any way that they're not intended to be used. Push cut. That push cut, still a lot of dust, and then staying well clear, and we'll show you what a pull cut does with the dust collector. Made a little mistake there. I should have done the pull cut first, because when I did that push cut, it left dust all over the place that stirred up when I did my pull cut. Here we go. Fresh start pull cut. Okay. Go ahead and get rid of that mask. So the reason I set this up this way initially was so I could get a greater depth of cut, which even with this extra 3/4 inch board here, I'm still able to get 16.5 inches on the short side of my cut. If I add a 3/4 inch board on here, I can get right at about 17.1/8 inches. And I can get even a bit further than that if I lay it down on a 2x4. My blade comes out. Let's see here. I can easily get 18. Let's see here. Right at 18 inches. So I can get an 18-inch depth of cut with this saw with the wooden fence. If I take the wooden fence off, I can get 18 3/4 with this saw. And actually, I think you can gain a bit more if you pull off these aluminum fences on the back and push your table back. You can probably get closer to 19.5 inches. So there we go. I'm sorry this video ran a lot longer than I intended it to, but just a 2 1/4 inch hole saw here fits the shop vac hoses really nicely. And this is a hollow table here, and the reason I did that was for dust collection initially. And then I added this pretty quickly because I realized a lot of that dust was getting above the height of my table and not staying down in the table. It's intended to blow into the table, then blow back into the saw. But altogether, it's been a really good setup for me. I'd say it easily collects 99% of the dust, probably quite a bit more than that. And almost all of that goes into this 5-gallon bucket. I changed the filter on my shop vac maybe... at most, I change it twice a year, but typically only about once a year, and it's a filter bag, so it's not like I have the option to shake it out. That filter bag usually has just the very finest powder dust in it, not much beyond that. So what I'm getting at is these little cyclone separators really do work well. They cut down the suction a little bit, but it's worth every cent just for not having to replace these HEPA filters more than maybe once or twice a year, and that's on a year where I'm out here cutting just about every single day. So these things do work well. I do go through quite a few 5-gallon buckets of sawdust, but that's actually a positive. That just means it's not out in the air. So thanks for watching. If this was at all useful to you, I would greatly appreciate a like and a subscribe, and if you leave a comment below with any other ideas you have for future videos. It all helps get our videos out to more people, so we would certainly appreciate your help if you found any value at all out of this. Thanks for watching. Show you a little bit more kind of this table before I cut off. I know y'all got excited the video was almost over. This is just a little temporary thing. I put this on yesterday to get a little bit more depth to cut. But that's the basic setup right there. It's about a 1.75 inch hollow cavity in here. And it is intended to where I can cut through the table at a 45-degree angle. And I've got boards, you can see the nail line. I've got boards mounted underneath here so that when I do make that cut, I have it supported on both sides. But I haven't needed to do a 45-degree cut on this table since I built it. So it's really just a 90-degree cut, and I can take this table off real easily. I think it's just 2 screws, the whole thing pops apart. And it's been a really good addition. I've used similar tables in the past. Kind of wish I'd done something a little different here. That's just temporarily screwed on actually last night. But there we go. Thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe if you found it helpful, and let us know if you have any ideas for future videos. We'd appreciate it.